At the very latest on the storm's track this morning, Michelle Muscatello is back now with all the new information. Michelle?
Well, Danielle, no major punches thrown here by Hurricane Irene this morning. It remains on the track that we were forecasting here over the last, say, 24 to 36 hours, which is one right along the coast of New Jersey and racing up to New York City. You can see here what a sharp cutoff there is in the heavy rainfall. I think by probably 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we will have picked up as almost all of the rain that we're going to see from this storm. But we're certainly in these heavier rain bands right now, especially over Rhode Island and Bristol County, Mass. But the Cape and parts of Boston seeing very little in the way of accumulated rain here so far this morning. New York City, the center of the hurricane, looking like it's working its way now up the New Jersey coastline and getting close to New York. So conditions there deteriorating. Of course, one of the things that we're really watching for is this approach now of the high tide, the first of the morning, and the potential storm surge that will come along with it. The other big headline is this tornado watch that we're going to continue to keep a close eye on especially at our coastline, for perhaps a weak, short-lived tornado. Irene, though, at this point, barely a hurricane. It's 75-mile-an-hour winds. Notice here in this cone, this wind range that we see here, we're starting to get those tropical storm force wind gusts. As we get into these darker reds, this is where we have those higher wind gusts, 39 to perhaps even 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts possible at this point. And as the storm continues its track to the north-northeast, it's pushing all of the water up along the coastline. Now, winds are out of the east-southeast, but we do have that general push of the water up from the south, and that is what is creating the storm surge this morning. We were already seeing pictures out of Narragansett of the parking lot flooded at the beach there, and we have the potential here in the morning high tide of as much as a 2 to 4 foot storm surge here from these strong winds. And right now what we're seeing are winds that are gusting at this point to about 35 to 45 miles per hour. So radar right now continuing to show these pockets of torrential downpours. We've got one right along 295 Pawtucket. It just came through there, Providence as well, but should be very difficult driving conditions along 295 this morning, and that extends south along 95, West Warwick out through Coventry, getting some very heavy rainfall. And we continue to watch some of these heavier bands. Now, this is what we're concerned about in terms of the potential for a tornado to spin up in our area. So you see these yellows and oranges, some of these isolated thunderstorms with the rotation of the hurricane coming on shore and interacting with the land. You could see, again, perhaps 1 or 2 weak tornadoes. It's something to watch out for. Rainfall totals. Now, this is just one computer model's estimate on what we have the potential to see here through the daytime today. And it is in that, say, 2 to 5 inch range for a good part of our area. I do expect that the highest rainfall totals, we could be talking 8 inches or more, will be over parts of western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, and into New York and eastern Pennsylvania. Winds right now at this hour gusting 45 miles per hour in Providence. We've got a 45-mile-an-hour peak gust in Westerly. Check out Groton, though. We're now over a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust, and this should strengthen. I think winds gusting, probably a good estimate at this point would be 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts as we reach the peak of the winds, which will be in the late morning through the mid-afternoon. This is City Cam again. The camera blowing in the wind with a east-southeast wind in Providence sustained at 25 miles per hour, and the air is just ultra sultry with that tropical air in place, so the dew point running very high as expected. This is the track from the National Hurricane Center, so it goes from a minimal Category 1 hurricane where we are right now to a strong tropical storm as it moves through Connecticut. 69-mile-an-hour sustained wind still at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and notice even in the afternoon as the rain shuts off, we still have a lot of this wind to get through. So again, the oranges are those tropical storm force winds. It will be until later this evening and perhaps into the first part of the night before we drop down below tropical storm force wind gusts. And so that's enough, combined with the rain, to down power lines, and some limbs and branches, perhaps even uproot some smaller trees. 2 to 5 inches of rain for a good part of our area, winds 30 to 50, gusts to 60. The storm surge this morning, 2 to 4 feet. This afternoon could be more significant. It's actually for the evening commute at around 8 o'clock this evening. Could see a 3 to 7 foot storm surge in both Narragansett and Buzzards Bay. Back to you.